I'm a Yinzer. Thank you for bringing the draft to Pittsburgh. And Mr. Kraft, I've cried several times after your team has beat the Steelers. So.
You what?
Cry.
You made her cry.
And may it continue. Actually, we're playing the Steelers this year, but it's up in Beantown. So,
it sure is. All right, well, thanks to all our students tonight for being here. And I want to start with sports as a unifier. It's crazy to think the different things that can happen. And Charlie, I know as a player and now as somebody who is teaching it, living it, and helping others in the Pittsburgh community through your foundation, how have you seen that happen?
For me, I'm a big believer that sports brings communities together. And if you don't believe it, what other way can you get 700,000 people all to pay attention to a sporting event? Or better yet, win the Super Bowl, 250,000 people celebrating the Super Bowl parade. And for us, around here in Western Pennsylvania, high school football is a big deal. And if you want to know where everybody's at, know where the game is at. So there's 10,000 people in the stadium. Guess what? Now you're able to share whatever message that you choose to do. And that was something with us, with our foundation, that we try to do. And our sports and the low-hanging fruit was basketball. In order to get, what other way can you get 350 kids to all pay attention during that time? But now we were trying to get them to pay attention to a book. You want to play basketball? Now you have to read a book and attend 4 mandatory study halls. It was easier to do it that way versus saying, hey, meet me at the front of the library, we're going to read some books. I'd be lucky to get 10 kids. But it was just our way to continue to share the messaging and to be able to get them to pay attention to what we ultimately want them to do, was ultimately in the education space. And with that, and now we service over 4,000 kids annually throughout Southwest.
Governor Shapiro, I know you might have a bet with Pat McAfee. I'm not going to talk about what it's about, unfortunately. But how have you seen it throughout your career, sports being something that can help bring people together?
Well, first off, it is just awesome to be here with Robert Kraft, one of the greatest Americans out there trying to bring people together. Even though we hate his team a couple days a year, we love what he does. And to be with Charlie, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, whose legacy, I believe, will be defined by the work he's done after he left the field. He's got 6. He's got 2. I got bupkis when it comes to Super Bowl rings, but I grew up playing every sport, loving every sport, listening to sports radio, calling in, and just being a fan of any game I could possibly get my eyes on. And so I grew up in this culture of loving sports. I played basketball. Sometime I'll tell you about how I got cut in college. But what I value about sports, when you're playing it, and you're on the field, you're on the court, everybody's working together. And all those differences blur away. You go over to Acrisure, or you're on the other side of the state at the Link, or you're up in Foxborough, you're sitting in the stands watching the team you love, and guess what? You don't care how the person next to you voted. You don't really focus on how they worship, or whether they went to college, or what their job is. You just know you are rooting for your team. Or if you're an Eagles fan like me, you're rooting against the other team. That's what we do. We work hard against. The point is, the stands have a way of bringing people together, of blurring those differences, of allowing us to see our shared humanity. I think there's a few things left in life like that in these hyper-violent times. Sports is one. I think food and culture and music is another. Still brings people together. And when you find ways to blur those differences, you find ways to find those commonalities, then you can have a deeper conversation. And you can see how we have that shared humanity, that through line in our faiths, even if our religion is different. I was struck by Dr. Page speaking earlier. A leader in education for Black Americans today, quoting Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, the very essence of what my parents taught me, what my faith teaches me, that leads me to doing this work for you as government. We both understand the importance of repairing the world, even though we might worship differently on Saturday or on Sunday. That shared humanity that we have, it's evident in the stands at a game, and I think it's more evident in our society every day if we try and find ways to see it more. And I just want to commend every one of you for being here, especially our students, for being willing to see it, for being willing to find that shared humanity, and by joining us here tonight. I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Mr. Kraft, how has it changed your perspective taking over the Patriots and realizing things like this event can take place because of sports, because the NFL draft is here, and because we can do things to unify people?
Yeah, I think my two colleagues here said it beautifully, but, last night I went to a Celtic game, Celtics and Bruins are in the playoffs, and
By the way, what happened in that Celtics game?
they're playing a team from Philadelphia. They lost by 30 points, but were terrific. They were terrific and they outplayed them. And, but the point, even though we lost, and it's actually, and they earned it. So you can be proud, because I thought it would be a walk away. But what it does, we need more bridge building in society today. There are too many people who want to burn bridges. With all our problems, this is the greatest country in the world, still. And I'm going to do everything I can. And look, I was a kid, I went to college on scholarship, graduate school, and business on scholarship. Didn't have a car till I was 25. I dreamt about owning an NFL franchise in my hometown. And the good Lord helped me to do it. But the point I'm making, I did it because sports is the one thing that builds community and builds those bridges in ways. Music does it too, but not the same way as sports. And no matter what's your skin color, what's your gender, how you worship God, everyone's pulling for the same team. And we need more of that. And we need those of you who are coming out as graduating from school, please God, very shortly, to think about what you can do to have more empathy. We don't have enough empathy. Someone takes a position, someone goes in the other direction, just because he said it. And you, please, just preach empathy and bridge building. And we need more faith and spirituality in society today. And thank you for letting me say that.
Bridging the gap and having the Jewish community and the Black community here. What does that mean in terms of problem solving and getting things done like you all have talked about?
Yeah, I think, obviously I get a chance to see it because if you've ever been to the Homestead, which is 10 minutes east of here, half the bridge is the city of Pittsburgh, the other half is Homestead. And people don't even realize that. But again, you still have to work together. You have one school district and then now you're entering into the city of Pittsburgh. And these things are important. So you've got to continue the conversations and figuring out what people are passionate about. What are they supporting? And when you talk about, even with sports, think about this. We're all waiting for 3 weeks to hit. Why? Because the NFL schedule comes out. And that's when you start planning your fall. Just what it is. If you're a football fan, you know where you're going to be between 1 and 4. If you're not a football fan, that's when you go to the grocery store. But that's just what we do, right? So I think, again, just having a conversation, there were events that are planning, and again, you know where people are going to be, and you start building around sports to continue to have the conversation.
Governor Shapiro, how would you describe a bridge builder?
I think a bridge builder is someone who's willing to listen. And listen both with their ears and with their heart. I think Robert made the point before about empathy. That is something that is lacking right now in our society. lacking in terms of what we see on social media, and no disrespect to our friends in the back of the room, but in some of the other media we consume. But I believe it is there in people's hearts. It is naturally there. We just have to find ways to utilize that tool that exists in each of us. You are demonstrating that power of being able to listen by being here. The important thing is taking that back to your campuses, taking that back to your workplaces, and engaging in that there. I think the question that was posed to Charlie is an important one for us to understand where we fit in the arc of history. If you look at the profound advances we've made as a country in recognizing more civil rights for more people, it's always been because there's been a coalition of different people coming together. I want to focus on one of those coalitions briefly. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They came together, and they advanced the cause of freedom in this country. You are descendants of that work. And I would argue you have a responsibility to carry forward with that work. We're meeting here not just on the eve of the draft, but we're meeting here as we celebrate, as Robert said, the greatest country on the face of the earth at its 250-year mark. The brilliance of our founders is that while they declared their independence and a decade later wrote the Constitution in Philadelphia, just down the turnpike, the brilliance of their work is that they left it incomplete. And the story of America is ordinary Americans rising up, demanding more, creating coalitions, and building a more just society. The people in this room are those Americans now. We no longer can simply look to the history books for strength. We have to look to one another to build those coalitions and find our way forward. In the spirit of Heschel and King, in the spirit of what our founders started, we have a responsibility now to do that work. And I would say, while these are some real powerful people up here, the real power in this room is all of you sitting out there, and we need you now more than ever.
You know, one of the things that's been very disturbing, and I think the way the government laid it out about the past, I see what's going on in social media, and the Black community and the Jewish community were always bonded strongly. And, you know, 1909, the NAACP was established, and there was a man, Julian Rosenwald, and there was a different rabbi. Rabbi Herschel was with Martin Luther King, I think, Joshua Herschel. But 30% of the support came from the Jewish community back in over 100 years ago. And then, once again, even though I think I'm 35, I see someone yawning, so I'm sorry. You got to bed late last night. No, but I think of 1963 when Martin Luther King courageously gave his famous address. I remember watching it on a small TV and was honored when his son asked me to speak at the 60th anniversary in Washington. And I thought of that Rabbi Heschel was a big supporter and all of that, but now young Blacks and young Jews don't have that rapport. And when I was sitting at the UNCF dinner one night and listened what a great contribution that organization makes to America and for Black students, in a serendipitous moment, I decided to make a 7-figure gift to do these unity dinners, because social media is spreading lies and not allowing our people to keep that bond. And we have to keep that bond. So I thank you all for coming here tonight and just understanding and knowing one another and what's important to each of you, as we've done for over 100 years.
Charlie, we'll start with you. Knowing these students are sitting here, they're learning a lot, they're going to discuss a lot and do some activities, but what is something they can take away to take back to their campus, take back to their community, or something they can do to be a bridge builder?
Yeah, in this room, you have a lot of great leaders. And yes, we're here for a great purpose, which is the NFL draft. But again, what does beyond the draft look like? What is the messaging? What are the lessons that you're learning here when everybody leaves Pittsburgh? And now it's up to us to continue what we're trying to do here in Pittsburgh. And the beauty is right here in the room. And when I look at leaders that way, we love to collaborate with folks here. We actually have people from the University of Pittsburgh that is a part of what we're doing. And we have two great leaders in this room that I want to acknowledge that are at the forefront of programming at our Best of the Batch Foundation. One, Ms. Zaylin, please stand up. Second person in the room is DJ. These two are prime examples of being able to take what they're passionate about, working with kids, continuing to share the messaging to make sure that we have the next leaders for tomorrow. So if there's anything that we can do at Best of the Batch Foundation, please reach out to these two leaders that are here. Let them know how we can continue to collaborate. So I thank you two for being at the forefront of what we're trying to do.
Governor Shapiro, what's something that you want our students to take away from tonight?
There was a reason why you wanted to be here tonight. I'm sorry. There was a reason why you wanted to be here tonight. That there's something you're hopeful for in our society, and you felt that being here tonight might allow us to find that common ground, might allow us to find that common goodness. I applaud you for coming here. And the fact that you're here, you're getting to mingle with different people and meet folks, there's a comfort in being here around folks who view the world the way you do, which is that we should find ways to come together. This is my hope for you, though. You're going to leave here, and it's going to be tougher when you're in class and someone says something that doesn't land right on you. You're in your dorm, and someone's picking on somebody else because of how they worship or what they look like. You're scrolling through TikTok, and you see some stuff out there that you just know is garbage. It's hate fuel. It's a lot harder in those moments to speak up. And you don't have the comfort of being here with all of these folks who think the way you do. They're not present in that moment. I hope you can take strength from this event so that you have the courage to stand up in those moments. Because God knows we need you to now more than ever. I believe, the Commissioner and Robert, Charlie and I were talking about this before, I believe you represent the vast majority of Americans who see one another not as enemies but allies. But I know in those moments you can feel real alone, and those negative voices can feel real loud, way louder than the passion that we all feel here in this room. My hope for you is that the strength you get from tonight, you take with you in those moments, because the byproduct of you standing up in that tough moment is you send a message to the fellow student, the friend, someone who lives on your hall, that what they did was not okay. And guess what? They will correct their behavior, and they won't do it again. And we will create a society that is a little bit more kind and a little bit more just and has a little less hate in it. You are the ambassadors of this blue square. You are the ones we are depending upon to do this hard work. So take the energy in this room with you, and in those quiet, difficult moments, dig down deep and step up, because we need you now more than ever.
And Mr. Kraft, from so many of these unity dinners that have taken place, what's something you've learned about how resilient and encouraging and productive students can be?
Well, some future, and I'd just like to say, first of all, this blue square, we believe there are 5 million people that are wearing it. You know, we started it about 3 years ago every day. And we're hoping in the next 10 years, there'll be hundreds of millions. And the simple message of the blue square is let's build bridges and spread love and not burn bridges. And so I hope all of you are comfortable with that and can feel good doing it. But I want to tell you something else I want you all to do. Think big. Dream of something that's right for you, whatever it is, that makes you feel good. And then pursue it relentlessly. And, you know, most people have their dreams, but something doesn't go their way and they give up. I want you to be like the tide. You know, it goes out, comes in, and then something doesn't happen right, it goes out, but then the tide keeps coming up higher. And I want you to do that with your dreams. And don't be afraid to fail. When it doesn't go your way, you know, we have a saying that's somewhere in the, I think in the book of Pirkei Avot, Ein Ra B'li Tov. There's no bad that happens in this world that doesn't have good associated with it, if you manage it properly. And the tough things and the bad things that happen can make you stronger if you do that. So have your Halom Gadol, your big dream, and build bridges. And it's a great honor for me to be here in the city of Pittsburgh, and a place that was so nice to me when I dreamt big, and people helped me. So, lots of love.
Well, thank you once again to our panel tonight. You know, you guys are going to start doing some things. We just please ask if everybody can stay in their seats as we get these lovely gentlemen off the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
If everybody could just stay seated, please, we would appreciate it.